the relationship starts, how we know each other, what's going on. And that has to just start slowly, because it's got to be about safety. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to stretch too far. You want to be able to come back tomorrow. So, you know, we've got the donkeys divided up into some groups. This pen over here, the second one from the end, has 3 minis and a couple of standards in there. They're kind of here at the moment to be able to go and have dentistry and farrier and all those sorts of things. The minis will be adoptable if everything's fine with the dentistry and everything like that. But they're not really here essentially for us to work with at this stage. What we've done is to separate everything else into pairs, which are all the adoptable donkeys, so that's where we can get the most value of helping them. And how many of you, if any, are going to be thinking seriously about taking donkeys home? I know Cindy is, who's going, and you're going to take some, Michelle, okay. So you get first choice. Seems fair. You're going to have a lifetime together. Yeah, sign up for the next 40 years, you know. There's a couple of donkeys that Cindy, Eric's wife, I'm sure you know, has already dibbed, and she kind of pulled rank and said, I really want those two. So I wasn't brave enough to say anything other than yes, that's fine. And we'll let you have a look at them. David is here somewhere, or was. David's got some of the information on the donkeys. And what my plan is to do 2 things. First of all, you're going to find the donkeys that you're going to work with or that you're going to want to adopt. Okay, so maybe, Michelle, you need to talk to David about what your criteria is a second. We'll find those donkeys. The rest of you are just going to sit on the fence for a moment. You're just going to watch, you're just going to see, do the donkeys come up, do they go away? You're going to start that map of how friendly are they. You're not trying to touch them, you're not trying to do anything. Okay, because I need to get you in the right place. You've been in the hall all there, there's all these people watching. You need to just let all of that go, get in the moment, start just thinking about it. 10, 15 minutes just watching the donkeys, kind of starting to think about where you're going, what's happening, what do you think that donkey might do, those scenarios. Then, what we'll move on to, and we'll probably just have a brief break in between, is to see how they deal with something that's a novel object. And we use a lot of novel objects to kind of see how they deal with something they've never seen before. Sorry? I can't understand human behavior. There's a woman at the back going, like, what are you? It's all about me. So, having searched, some of you, you've got your balloons from this morning, yeah? I have more balloons, don't panic. I have more balloons, okay? So a balloon will become a novel object. I also have this, these are novel objects. Okay, now the idea is not to scare the pants off the donkey. The idea is to just kind of place these at the end when your donkey's there, and just you want to see how they're going to deal with them. You don't want them to eat them, that's where you have to protect the donkey that's got the, yeah, what's that? But you want to know what they're going to do, how they're going to behave. You can blow up a balloon, we can tie it to the fence. We just want to see, what are they going to do? Are they going to run to the back? Are they going to approach it? How are they going to do? Again, this is without your interference. We want to know what the donkey does, not what you will cause the donkey to do. That's going to come in time. Yeah? So we're looking for the tiniest bits of body language. Remember we talked about this morning, I showed the comfort zones? So you're looking for the comfort zone stretch. How does that donkey stretch his own comfort zone? Does he come up, kind of wander a little bit? Okay, that's enough, and he goes away. Is he just going to walk straight up and go, yeah, let me put that in my mouth? Where are those comfort zones? What signs does he show you? Because those are the signs he's going to show you when you go to pick up his feet. That will tell you how much to stretch, how much not to stretch, where to push, all those sorts of things. Yeah, and that's why we kind of use things they've never seen before to do that. Yeah? Any questions, thoughts, worries, concerns?
So basically it's observation.
To start with, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to kind of create a program in 3 afternoons that actually you'd follow when you got these donkeys home. Now, we all know if you had 2 new donkeys come to your property and they started with you, the first week you're going to do very little but just watch them. But it's not just for watching them, it's learning about them. It's observing them. How do they do this? What do they do with that? Where are they going? How do they cope with these things? How do they stretch that comfort zone? That's the information that will keep you safe and make the training more efficient as you progress. Yeah?
Are you going to go in one pen and say, okay, this is a new donkey, this is how, what you would do if it was a new donkey yourself, and interpret what it's doing, or are we just going to...
No, what's going to happen, you're going to go sit on the fence, you're going to find your donkey, you're going to watch, you're just going to do that.
Okay.
Then we'll just get everybody together, and when we think, yeah, okay, I've had 15, 20 minutes, I kind of know what this donkey's doing, I like the look at it, then we'll go, okay, if we're ready, I'll maybe find Abner the mule I kind of picked out that I'd kind of like to show, because he's kind of reactive, he's got a bit going on, that I might use Abner as the mule just to show you what we're thinking, because he's not up for adoption, he's going to a museum, I think. So I can work with him, show you a little bit and how it works and what we're looking for. But yeah, but remember, this is about you getting in the right place, just softening down, just starting to think it through, nothing big, nothing much happening. And you know, even if you're in a veterinary situation, you're trying to get something done, this might take place in the first 2 minutes that you're just standing there getting stuff ready. You should still be doing the same thing. Sometimes you have to squash it into a small space, other times you got weeks because you got at home and you can just got the donkeys outside the back area and you can just take your time and sit on the fence and drink tea. Did I mention tea again? Yeah. Nobody's taking the hint, that's what's worrying me. I gotta work better at behavior. Yeah, we're going to divide up, so we're going to have, there's 2 donkeys in each pen, so we can have 2 people working in the same pen, and I wouldn't wish you on that donkey, so we'll change around. But it's just about the donkeys, you know? So we will, you know, kind of look at different donkeys. We'll go across if there's some interesting behavior, we're seeing stuff we'll gather up and we'll get everybody together and say, okay, let's have a look what we see and what we're doing. It's just really quiet to start with. And who would want better on a day like today, you know? I'm working. What are you doing? Just sitting here on the fence, drinking tea. Oh, my voice is going now. It might not last. Okay, let's do it. Cindy, you're going to obviously know where your 2 are, or one that's here and one's on the other side, so that's okay? No. I heard Eric this morning. He said you're taking 4 home. And if any of you guys out here are just visiting and watching, if you get the bug and you think, I really like that donkey, I got to take him home, then you need to talk here to Vicky. Vicky, just pop your hand up. She's got a laptop, she's got a system, she can do it all online, she can sort it out, and you can take donkeys home. On your marks, get set, go. I'm trying to be a bit ethical here, because the difficulty is these donkeys got hauled 28 hours, strange environment, strange people, all this stuff going on. This is completely the wrong way to do it. Okay, so we're trying to make it the best possible scenario for them, but this is no way what I would ever say this is what you would do in a perfect situation. So to make it ethical, we've got to slow down, we've got to go at the donkey's pace, and we've got to figure that out to start with. And I think there's a tendency to rush, and it's much more in these situations. You know, you already see the differences starting to appear. So there's a donkey here that's already come up to the fence to say hello. These guys are like, well, I just actually prefer my food. You know, there's donkeys hanging back, donkeys coming forward, donkeys that aren't interested in people. And those are the key things that you want to be picking up really quickly, because those are the things that will make it safe, that will tell you what your animal's going to do when you get in there and start doing things. And that's the important stuff, is the time you take beforehand. And, you know, we're working with human behavior. So I give all this instruction and Cindy goes in and does something completely different. See? I said, go find your donkey and watch it. So she finds a donkey she doesn't want and decides to touch it. You know? And that's human behavior. You know, they've been selected because they have the adoption potential, and when I've been walking around them, they certainly haven't kicked out or that sort of thing. Personally, I think that the feet issues, they haven't had their feet particularly trained. They certainly haven't done much leading. They're kind of in that category of potential, but with nothing really much done.
Okay, but what if they were wild? I mean, how would the training change?
It wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Why would it change?
I don't know. I mean, you know.
You just start a bit further back. That's all. Exactly the same thing. There's no different. To me, these donkeys are wild. See, when we make an assumption about the donkey, that he is, oh, he's this, he can do that, he can do the other, we start to then get into problem areas. So you need to go through the same process. You step back, you just sit and watch, you start to then shape the behavior, you start to begin to, just with a wild donkey, you might start 20 feet away. With one that's had a bit of experience, you might only start 5 feet away. But you'd still go through the same process, stretch the comfort zones, do the shaping, use your positive and negative reinforcement, those 6 steps, it's exactly the same. That's because it's the science of behavior. It works whether you're doing with a wild donkey, a domesticated donkey, a child, a parent, a dog. They have some different motivations, but the behavior is the same. And the training is the same. So there's no difference. People say, yeah, but what if you got a mule? Well, we're working to the mule standard because we're using the science of behavior. You don't have one set of rules. Well, you know, the science of learning works this way for donkeys and it works that way for mules. That's the art of how you apply it. That's slightly different. But we're working to the mule standard. If you can do this, you can work with mules. And that means you can work with donkeys and you can work with horses. And so it doesn't really change at all. You just start a bit further back with a wild burro or a wild woman even. No, we often don't allow donkeys processing time. You know, it'll often take them 15, 20 seconds to think about stuff. You know, and he's come up, he's kind of said hello, he's gone back again. This is the nature of these characters, and that's what you're trying to figure out. How long is he going to take to do things? For me, I just sit on the fence and wait for him to get kicked. You can't force learning in. See, the principles for behavior are the same thing. You can't, if someone doesn't want to learn, they don't want to learn. So you can't make them learn. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So if you've got somebody who just knows you got to push them, shove them, you can't do it. You can show them, you can work with them, but that's not their reason for change. They have to see it. And they have to have an inquiring mind to want to do it. And that's the difficult work with the donkey sanctuaries work overseas and everywhere, is because people, we're all experts in behavior. Everybody's a behavioral expert. So we all know how to do it. You know, I once was in Australia and this guy came out and he's kind of like, oh, sits down, he's got to be 65. And we started the clinic and I said, wow, I'm really impressed that somebody, sir, of your age, you know, is still coming to clinics and still trying to learn. And he looked up and he said, well, mate, he said, you know, I just figured I've been working with horses 40 years and I've got to find a way of doing it without getting hurt. And he just spent 40 years getting kicked around and eventually decided that maybe there was a different way. So people, it is really just about, you have to sit there, because once you try to push on people, they push back. And that's the really hard thing as a trainer. You can play a little bit and just talk to them and go, wow, that's brave. Or one of my favorite sayings is, well, that's interesting. Why would you think that? That's interesting. Why would you do that? You know, because people will defend their own beliefs. Oh, that won't work for me. That won't work for my donkeys. That won't work for my wild donkeys. That won't work for... There's always a reason it won't work for them. Okay, that's interesting. Why would you think that? You know, and you have to be open for it. And that's what tomorrow when we do the human behavior change stuff about obesity. Oh, go on, you can give him a little scratch. Yeah, you can. He asked for it. They can't keep their hands off. I think you did pretty well to wait that long, to be honest. But you start to see these different characters, who's coming up, who's not, what's going on. And, you know, experienced people, I think, John, they pick up a lot of this stuff without maybe thinking about it. You know, they're kind of watching. But again, it's getting into good habits. Just taking the time to allow this animal to come up, you know, that's taken 5 minutes. That wouldn't have been there if we'd have just gone straight in and caught his head collar. Could we have? Yeah. Should we have? That's a question we need to be asking all the time. I better go around the other side. There could be dead bodies around there and I wouldn't know. How are we doing? So what's interesting, we're just saying on the other side, did they come straight up? Did they take their time?
Came straight. Ours came
Okay,
straight.
but then you see, what about this guy over here?
And he came up, checked us out, went right back.
Okay. So Are you starting to see some different behaviors? Are you starting to get a feel for different animals? How they're behaving differently, they're offering different stuff, how they're starting to ask for attention. That's a value in taking a few minutes to have a look, because you start to get that feel of, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Already it starts to build your confidence, because you start to think, okay, I can begin to predict what you might do. And that's really what this is kind of about, as you start to stretch those comfort zones. But doing less is always kind of a bit more. It's difficult not to anthropomorphize and give them human emotions, and they're buddying up, because of course they've been together for about 8 minutes. They just happen to be in the same space. They were completely independent earlier, other than having traveled here and all that sort of thing. Yeah, just changed, so we're seeing something different. So they start to think about environment. Is what I'm seeing the result of the other animal, the barn, the mood I'm having, what time of day, what proximity to the food? These are things that you start asking. So in your week at home, that's what you're looking. What's his behavior in the morning? What's his behavior in the evening? What's his behavior around feed time? What's his behavior? This is all the stuff you need to stay safe. The problem is, what we tend to do is we look at that animal and we make a judgment. I'll give you an example. So last year I come to Davis, I arrive, I think, wow, I'm early enough, I'm going to drive across the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Geez, what a mistake that was. No, it wasn't a mistake, it was an amazing experience. The 4-hour traffic jam afterwards wasn't. Now the problem was, I went, okay, so I'm going again this year, I'm probably not going to take that route, as nice as it was, because obviously that's the route you get a load of traffic jams. All right, so I've got in my mind, that's the reason of the traffic jam, because it was that route. I arrive this time, I get in the car, I'm driving the straight route, 101 north, and then onto the I-80. 2 hours, I've done 30 miles. And then I'm figuring, hang on, why was I so stupid to think it was that route? Maybe it's just San Francisco. All the traffic's terrible.
So you might as well take the scenic route.
Yeah, well, but the point is, I just made a snap judgment about that situation. That was the route. I spent a whole year thinking it was the route that was wrong.
Sacramento too.
Yeah, everywhere. In fact, it's every city in the world. It's going to be and that's what we do with the donkeys. What we tend to see with our equines is we make a judgment. That's why he's doing it. What we need to do is that behavioral detective stuff, where we start to investigate. What if I just switch that round? What if I move this? What if I change that? Then we begin to get a read of the animal, what their real personality is. Is it he's just in the wrong pen? Is it that he just doesn't like Wednesdays? I don't know. But that's the adoption of that behavioral detective, not knowing the answer.
Especially like if you bring in a new donkey.
But again, even just watching that, this little white donkey he's figuring it out. I'm just going to sneak out a little bit, get a bit of feed there, and the moment that Abner the mule comes, I'm just going to back in there, just quietly out the way. Yep, that's fine. So he's stretching his own comfort zones. He's figuring it out, you know.
Isn't he rewarding every time he gets a bite to eat?
Yeah. But you can see then, if you start to work with that animal, he's the sort of animal that if you give a little bit of time, he's going to offer something.
Right. Okay.
And he's going to just figure it out. Where his buddy is kind of still stood at the back of the stable saying, don't go out there, it's terrifying. We were talking about the behavior here of Abner, the mule, and how he's affected the other two donkeys, which are hidden in the stall. And how the environment then affects the behavior of the animal and what you're seeing. And actually, even though just watching them, the little white donkey in the stable kind of showed a little bit more boldness and kind of figured he could come out, get a little bit of feed, and then back into the stable as Abner walked that end, and then he'd come back out, and you kind of go, okay, that's kind of smart. He's figuring those things out. But we're going to move them. We'll put those two down the bottom, and we can see them maybe in a different environment and see what they do differently. But I thought it would be kind of interesting just to have a look maybe at Abner's learning style, although he's obviously slightly stressed. The move over there and back again has just stressed him a little bit, so it'll be interesting again to just see his behavior. We'll take that into consideration. You're looking for stuff like, am I important at all? Thanks for that. Yeah. Yeah, and he does kind of just take a little bit of people. Wow, but look who I am important to.
You spent some time with her earlier.
This little donkey's kind of, but look, there's a fairly brave move there, run out behind Abner, but look at our other fella stood there. No, that's not possible. I don't know how you did that, but you just see these different characters, and you begin to understand them. This could get interesting. Oh no, okay. So let's create a novel object. See how we deal with it. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and this is the sort of donkey that you're gonna. These two donkeys are the sort of donkeys you got to be aware of. That I'm talking about could go up and mouth something and bite the balloon and pop it. So you want to avoid that. Yeah. Your job is to protect that animal against it. You know, you don't want to have that situation where your horse, especially, but the donkey is running around the paddock with a tarpaulin in its mouth because it bit it, then scared itself and it can't open its mouth now. He's really, and you know, your job is to try to control it, hence the balloon is tied on. You know, it's very easy not to think things through. What happens if this goes wrong and the balloon bounces across the floor and scares that donkey and he jumps through the fence and all those sorts of things. Cool. Let's change Abner's position a little bit by breaking the cycle because he's just got into, ooh, big fella. Easy, big boy. Easy, big boy. Uh-oh. No? Okay. Good lad. Now, I'm just going to change a little bit here because we need to just break this cycle for him a little bit. And this will be a good opportunity to show you why you bought your gloves. Okay, so, whoa, big fella. Okay, now you gotta watch that bottom lip. Okay, when we're talking about positive reinforcement, people kind of tend to, yep, good boy. Yeah? That's like working all week and getting paid 50 cents. You know? What we're trying to mimic as you get in here, this is mutual grooming that you'll see in equines. And it's got to be hard enough and firm enough to get that bottom lip going. Okay, now he's going to even adjust to where he wants it.
Do you ever pay attention to the hair whirls? Or have you ever studied that or paid attention?
I know lots of people do. For me, I just think there's so many variables that when we start adding stuff like that, and you can just create so many more. We haven't even got the basic stuff right, you know. And again, it influences our behaviour, which I think is huge. Like, oh, he's got a whirl there. He's going to be a rank one. So funny enough, he's a rank one. Okay, now you're asking nicely.
What kind of treats was your wife using in that video?
High fibre nuts, so just really bland, plain food. What sort of food rewards were we using? So just okay. So you sort of asking these questions of this donkey, and this is where you're going to be going next, or a mule in this case. What if I come in here and do this? It's very easy for us to stand there for 15 minutes because I love you. But you don't learn anything, you know? So I want to give him a scratch and find out, does he value what I've just done? If I move away, is he going to come over and say, can I have some more? You know? Actually, is there a donkey that just is going to go, I really don't like that? And you got to go further back and just shape the behavior just, is that enough? That's your task. You're trying to find out this we map together. You know, did you ever... Where do you want it, big fella? Did you ever see an animal that just got pats for reward do that? You know? This is where you want, and we've managed to break the cycle from this guy being quite stressed, coming up and kind of going, oh, you got something I want.
But isn't that what he's doing when he's pacing back and forth? He's trying to get some sort of,
No, he's trying to get some release for the anxiety that he's feeling.
and you're providing it, right? To a point.
Not really. I'm just changing the whole scenario for him. Now, with what happens, you've got a load of nerve ganglions here. This helps to lower the heart rate and do those sorts of things. But he's got to kind of get to a point where he can think his way through it. Oh.
All right, stop being human, guys.
Yeah. See, you'd all reward that, wouldn't you? But then you start to get an animal that's coming up and pushing you over. So you got to pick the right things to reward. See, it's lovely to have a mule that comes up, stands quietly next to you, but one that comes up and goes, hey, give me a fuss, you're not going to like that.
I've actually been knocked off my feet.
Yeah. So you got to choose. This is the communication. This is where the we map starts. Do I want him to come up and nibble me? So he's, if he wants to explore, that's fine, but I'm just going to make sure I'm not grooming him while he does it. How's he going to ask? Is he going to get bored? What's his tolerance level? How quickly is he going to wander off and go, well, you're useless then? Because this will tell me how much I can push him, how much I can work with him when we're going to pick up his feet and do stuff. Yeah, this is his wee map. This is what he's trying to figure out. Yeah, absolutely. He's trying to figure me out. But again, we're too busy doing stuff all the time. See, now he's just trying to escalate the bit. He's trying to get that attention. That's fine, but do you see it? It's just there. And our temptation is to be so unconscious that we reward that behavior. Because he bumps into us and we go, oh, you're lovely. 3 months down the line, get over, what are you doing? And because I didn't reinforce him long enough, you see, he's gone back to that behavior. So we sort of know how valuable I am or how long that behavior is going to take place. We can get him back again. I'm sorry, was I not paying attention? You see how important smell is. I wouldn't normally advise standing at the rear end of a mule while a balloon blows in the wind, but, okay, that's what we've got. We'll work with it. Just don't pop it, okay? And then this is where the training kind of starts. You're thinking about catching. This is your shaping behavior for catching. If I'm walking in and out to you, what are you going to do? So I'm testing out and asking that question. If I'm going to come here and just see how you're going to react just down there, what are you going to do if I just give you a scratch? These are all questions that you're asking all the time. But most of us are just unconscious when we get here. Oh, he loves me. He doesn't know you enough yet. Just scratch me. You're trying out these vulnerable areas. How's he going to cope with this? What's he going to do? Okay, that'll work. It's kind of interesting. So he did the balloon, now he's gone to that panel. So those of you who are doing the donkey clinic, that's our next kind of task, to take some of those strange objects, a balloon, one of those windmills, just create that thing where we can see how the donkeys deal with it. We're looking at this behavior. Are they coming? Are they leaving? Are they staying? Don't eat the expensive camera, please, Abner. You see how his behavior was much more comfortable with the two static objects? This guy, oh, sorry, big fella. This moving balloon, he was a little bit more wary of. So it starts to tell you about movement being an issue that you need to have in the training program. Cool, okay. Go get your donkeys, go get some foreign object. Let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to swap these 2 donkeys down and put them down the bottom, so those of you who didn't have a donkey can do the work down there. Abner can stay up here. And you see how everybody's trying to get things closer. You know, we got balloons on this side going up, you know. I tell you the reason for that, people want a reaction. They want to see the animal spook so they can go, look, see, that's what he does. As opposed to him not spook and we can learn about it. Okay, now we're just adjusting the head collar, but we've got the windmill rubbing up and down his face. You know, and then that whole thought process has disappeared, and you don't know what's going to happen when you do that. You know, because we're so keen to push them on, to do the next bit, to how far can we get? But what you're seeing is how far people have wanted to push it. See, look, now we've got the balloon bouncing around on the thing. Here's the devil. See, there should be a point where we go, actually, let's stop this. You know, actually, because you're going to push it too far. Yeah.
The donkey may or may not.
Yeah. Stop early, walk away early, finish early, make it easy. Because what happens if that donkey now panics, spooks forward and kicks out? Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a point to kind of just let it go, and there's a point to go, oh, hang on, we're just stretching it a bit too far here. And that's probably about it just there. Without trying to get somebody injured would be probably good. Guys, I'm really interested in your technique here. And how far you're pushing the donkeys.
Okay.
And what was you thinking?
That if I can do this and it's okay, do this and if it's okay, walk away. She came back for more.
Okay, but yep. Okay. What about with your windmill there?
It's no biggie.
Okay. And here's the different focus. Okay. So you're focusing on whether that's a problem to him. Yeah. Okay. I was focusing on learning about the animal. Mm-hmm. Now those are 2 different things.
Okay.
So you're focusing how much could you do with the balloon and how far could you go and all those things, which is kind of good, but you're doing it to the animal.
The animal's not. Okay.
What we want to do is we want to find out about how this animal has his learning style. What does he do? How does he appreciate it? You know, and the tendency for us humans is to push it until they do something.
And you know, and that's my big mistake.
And that's where you were both at there. How far can we go before they do something?
Well, yes, and I know that that's a problem of mine, so I did stop, and she did.
And you,
over
yeah.
And start again, but it's still too much too soon.
Yeah, and you know, we don't want to get it right and wrong, but for me,
No, I want to.
the situation is just taking that time to find out. You know, you go up, you come away, you go, okay, how you doing with it? And for sure, they're exploring it and they're looking at it. But to me, you learn much more about the animal when you just stood there waiting. Mm-hmm. See, and he came round and he's had a look. Now look at that head position. Look at that movement. See, that movement is different.
Mm-hmm. Down in the
Yeah, okay, so it was fine while it was still, but the moment the wind caught it,
it's a different.
now that tells you something about the animal and things you might need to work with and things you need to be aware of and what's going on. We're not at the stage of getting him used to dealing with it.
Okay.
I want to know, is he interested in it? Is it actually that's so boring, I've done so much in my life, I just really don't care?
Okay.
You know, is it that, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I want to see what turns the animal on, which opens up the learning, which allows them to begin to communicate to you. That's the map that you're creating together.
Okay, good.
That then keeps you safe when you go on.
Okay.
So the discipline is not about seeing, and it's human nature. How far can I go before it goes wrong?
And I know I'm guilty.
Yeah.
That's my big bugaboo with myself.
So you have to have the discipline to do a little bit,
Yep.
and then you come and stand there and just step away and have a look and see, well, what's happening here?
Okay.
Tie the balloon to the fence, see what they do. And you shape that behavior a little bit.
Okay.
Could you get away with what you did? Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
You know, the animal didn't, he kind of tensed up a little bit and went, oh,
Yeah.
okay. The danger is, if what I'm trying to create is good habits here.
Yes. Oh, that's
Because-
what I want to learn.
If you were to do that with an animal that suddenly spooked and ran forward and kicked out,
Oh, I just set it way back.
well, you set it way back, you run the risk of getting injured. So it's about trying to get this errorless learning, really, where you're just doing it at the right pace, you're just back and forward and enjoying it, really.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But it's hard not to do that stuff because they're standing beautifully.
Yeah, I know.
They're being really calm. Could we, do more? Yeah, we could. But that's our human nature. Let's do more. We could do this. We could pick up that back feet. I can see you just sweeping down. How far can I go?
Oh yeah. No.
You know, and that's natural, and But what was lovely is you kind of stopped and came back. But what we should have done then, that's when the scratch needed to come in. That really good well done, good boy, fantastic. Make that a really good thing because you stretched him a long way.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of that positive reinforcement.
Yep. And she did do that when I went away. She would come over and so that was good. Yeah. Good, thank you.
I think we run out of donkeys, so I'll go ahead and let somebody else have this.
Oh, anybody want a windmill? Oh, what's their learning style?
If you back up, they'll come to you.
Okay.
Go to them, they'll pet you. Tell them it's not their turn. You walk away, they'll wait, and they'll come to you.
Okay.
Somebody's been working with them.
Okay. What's their kind of learning style? See, what's interesting is,
Words, yeah.
you know, this is what they can do.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. This is what they're capable of. You can do this, you can do that. What I want to know is, how do they think? How does this animal likely to behave in different situations? What we're trying to find out in these stages when you're working, you know, okay, wants positive reinforcement, he likes contact. Is he going to ask for it? How long does it take? If you stepped away over there and just waited, how long will it be before he comes over and asks for it?
Probably not even a minute.
Okay, let's find out.
Yeah.
So just step away over there, both of you, because he's just going to step away, and we're just going to see. It's again, we've got to get out of the human doing thing. You know, how does this animal ask for attention? How does this animal?
He stands there.
Yeah. So has he got the? You know, is he going to bump into you? Is he just going to stand calmly? What do they do? How comfortable? See, you see now you just expanded your comfort zone there, didn't you? Hey, because you know what? You don't know how he's going to behave. And then you went and rewarded him for it. That's interesting. So he looked in your face. You said don't do it because you were a bit worried because it stretched your comfort zone. Then you want to give him a scratch for doing it. He hadn't got the clue what the hell that was all about.
Now he's gonna. Now he's on him.
Yeah, now you can give him a scratch. Standing resting on somebody else is fine. But there's a difference between what can he do and how does he do it. That's when you start to be able to improve your speed and your timing and your learning, because you kind of figure out how quickly this animal processes. How quickly does he step into you? How valuable are you to him as a resource? You know, those are the questions. Not at this stage, can I walk up and pet him, or can I pick up his feet, or can I not do those? We're looking, you know, at the beginning of a relationship, you know, you want to connect with that person. You want to connect with who they are. What do they do? What are their values? How do they figure things out? We've got away from that with our equines. We kind of just want to know, can I walk up and pet you? Will you follow me? Will you make me feel special because you asked for attention? But the things that are going to be important to you in training is knowing how quickly, how long to wait, how long to ask, all those things. You know, if you don't give him attention, will he escalate it? Will he walk into you? You know, do you trust him that when he goes into your face that he's not going to bite your face off?
See this one?
Oh, see, this one's different.
She rewarded him again, didn't she?
Okay, so this one's different. You see, so you got a different relationship with this one than this one.
That's true.
Okay, they're two beautiful donkeys. How come? Because, and that's what you're trying to figure out. Not can they do this or can they do that. It's how are they doing it? What's our map and understanding of them? See, that's really lovely. You know, how long did it take him to go up and look at the balloon? And that's what I want to know. Did he explore it with his mouth? Did he? Because when you come to do other stuff, that's what he's going to do the same way. That's his learning style. That's how he figures stuff out. I was kind of hoping there was a cup of tea around here, really. And that's the difference. Those are the things you're trying to figure out. Okay, so you're saying, you know, he likes light scratches opposed to hard scratches. You know, how quickly do they push up? See, this guy here is a little bit more inquisitive. See now,
He hasn't been until you came over.
I have that power. But what's interesting, how are you going to deal with that? So you're tempted to kind of push them away. Why? Oh, that's fine. It's not my
I don't
camera.
know that I would have pushed him away if you weren't talking to me. Like I was trying to pay
So
attention to
from
you.
you, so you got distracted and then you're doing all that.
Yeah.
I'm not that important. He's much more important to me. Always focus on him.
So how do you deal with that? Because he does kind of get in your face.
I don't know. How do you want to deal with it?
Well, you got to let him get to know you, but at some reason.
Okay, but you got to ask, why is he doing it? Is it a he? I can't even see him.
Yeah, it's a he.
Okay. So why is he doing it?
For attention.
I don't know. Maybe. So give him some attention now when he's not doing it. See, the difficulty is with that nuzzling is you kind of put your hand on him and push him away. That's kind of like rubbish attention, but it's some attention. So they come back and they nuzzle more. You kind of put your hand on to push them away, and then they get more rubbish attention. So people do this all the time. No, don't do that. And they think they're telling the animal off, and all they're going is, look, I'd give you a little bit of attention, but not very good attention. So they wonder why the animal keeps doing it. Whatever's repeated is being reinforced. That's the rule with behavior. Whatever's repeated is being reinforced, either negatively or positively. So if you're seeing more nuzzling, that means it's being reinforced. If you're seeing more kicking, it's being reinforced. You know? And what you're looking at, that was really nice. Is that donkey kind of moved past you and you just kind of stepped out the way a little bit? That tells me you don't trust him. Her.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is fine.
Just met her.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would you? But that's what you're trying to get to. Trust is just the ability to predict the behavior of another donkey or animal or person. Okay? So all of this is about beginning to be able to predict it. So you have to make a choice about how am I going to deal with this behavior. So you either choose to move out of the way, to reposition the head with your head collar, to just allow her to explore and then see if it dies away without doing anything. There's different ways of doing it, and you just got to feel, and it depends on why you think that he's doing it. Is it a learnt behavior, so people have just inadvertently reinforced it previously? I don't know. Is it just who this donkey is? If you put a balloon in here or that novel object, what do?
They ignored it.
They ignored it. Cool, isn't that great? Okay.
She looked at it once, I think.
Yeah, but nobody.
See, now that's interesting again. Okay, so she moves away.
I should have kept doing it.
No. What happens is you stop grooming. Now what you've just said is when you move away, you'll leave her alone. And now that's really nice for her to know, but it's not going to really help you getting closer to her. See, and this is the problem with behavior, okay? If the donkey wants you to leave, then you stay. If the donkey wants you to stay, then you leave. So like you give her a little scratch, and stop before she leaves. You're trying to figure out, is she leaving because she doesn't want you to do it? Or she wants you to do it in a different place? Does she want you to do it a bit harder? You got to ask these questions. That's the behavioral detective bit. Okay?
Came up a lot, but as
Yep.
soon as I touch
Give her a little scratch again.
as soon as I touch her, she usually goes away.
Well, then okay, so again, the interesting thing, is she moving because she wants you to scratch her in a different place? Scratch and try a little bit, like you said, softer, harder. Just over those withers, just give that really small, like this kind of mutual grooming thing. Harder. Okay, good, all right. So then we're thinking, is there pain involved? Okay, so you're going to chalk that one up and think, okay, that's got a big reaction. So just work on her neck and see what you get. I can stop before she moves away. Okay, good. And again. We're like a blind person in a dark room trying to find the walls all the time. People always want to kind of get the donkey to react before they do something. So we want to push it till it moves. We want to reach for the leg until it kicks. We want to bring the balloon in and wave it around until it spooks. But what we should be doing is stopping early all the time. So let me just give you a scratch. Stop. Let me just bring the balloon a little bit. Stop. Let me just reach for your leg a little bit. I don't need to keep going all the time because that just breaks the trust. Find out what about on her chest. Ask a different, just give her a little scratch there. Can you just stroke a different area?
So, Ben, if you're, stroking her and she moves away, should you move with her and keep doing what you're doing?
You should try generally just to quietly stay with them. But remember that you're just asking questions.
Right, exactly.
If I stay with you, are you going to run off and kick out? Are you just going to move away a bit more? Tell me about who you are. This is your first dinner date. You're having a glass of wine. You just ordered the starter. So have you got any brothers and sisters?
Yeah,
What if I do this? What if I do that? We're not climbing over the table saying, well, you've had your starter. Should we go home now?
yeah.
So you're just asking these questions. What about this? What if I rub the inside of your ear? What do I need to know about you? How do I find out about who you are? Have I got something that I can just... You're trying to find something that she kind of goes, oh, actually, you got something I want. And that might be it. Try again. And she's just worried about the movement behind her. See, because you're worried about overdoing it, you're almost going to go the other way and do too little. But remember, you're just going to feel that donkey. Just stretch it out a little bit. Get a feel for what's going on. They're just telling you about who they are at this stage. And that's the thing. How quickly do they make decisions? What are their interests? How valuable are you to them? Because that's what's going to be able to go into everything else.
And when they go back to like eating hay, that means they're not really thinking about us at all anymore.
Well, it just means hay's more important than you are right
Yeah.
now, whatever you've got. And for her, I could say that. So you just kind of get a feel from her that actually humans aren't that important, that maybe she hasn't had the best of experiences with humans, and she's kind of, okay, I'll work with it, but I don't really know how to relax into it. With her crest of her neck there, she's obviously been overweight at some point. So you just get the feel of who she is. So, you know, what then starts to form in your mind is that actually this relationship would take longer to get started, because you got to get that going before you start going on to other things. As opposed to, well, I can walk up and touch her and do stuff, let's get her feet picked up. But you've got no foundation to kind of build that further.